You guys were part of those SNL casts that, for me, it was truly the most pivotal time in my life. I was 11 years old, I think, when Chris, you joined the show, and maybe 13 or so when Rachel joined a couple years later. But, my bar mitzvah theme was SNL, okay?
Oh my gosh.
Oh, yeah, that's amazing.
That's awesome.
Each table setting was, I had Goat Boy, Harry Carey. I think Mr. Peepers was one of the tables. And then my parents' generation, they had Samurai Deli and the Coneheads. It was an amazing party. Thank you to Leslie Benjamin for putting that on. But every generation, I guess, grows up with their cast, and you guys were part of my cast, and you will always have a special place in my heart. You both took somewhat different paths to your careers, I would say. Because Chris, you grew up in LA. Your father was a working actor and a voiceover actor, and so you sort of grew up in the business, right?
Kind of, I guess. I mean, I grew up. My dad was one of the Groundlings, the founder of the Groundlings. So I used to, go watch him perform when I was a kid. So, I guess he was in show business. Yeah, he was a performer for sure. So that's how I got into, wanting to get to a place like Saturday Night Live, watching him perform back in the day and seeing him work with people like Paul Rubens. And I got to see like Pee Wee Herman being created. So that was a big influence for me. So, yeah, I guess it was kind of show busy. Yeah, for sure. So that was a big influence for me.
Yeah. And Rachel, did you have any showbiz influence like that growing up in Lexington, Mass? Or
no. I mean, my dad was super funny, and I used to watch SNL. Like when I was in 3rd grade, I watched that first cast. I would stay up and watch them once I discovered the show. So I was into comedy, but I wasn't like around showbiz. I just liked doing the school plays and, being sort of class clown type of person, I guess. So it's sort of like this crazy, I wasn't like, I'm going to be an actor, I'm going to be on SNL. I was just like, oh, this is so cool, but it would seem too crazy. I didn't really know how you got there,
There must be something in the bubbler in Lexington, because your high school also produced Eugene Merman, and Orny Adams, Pete Holmes, right?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And oddly enough, that singer, Amanda Palmer, is also from Lexington.
Oh, wow.
Yes. And Paul Revere's not from Lexington, but he rode through. Anyway, but yeah, then I moved to Chicago and did the whole Second City thing, and Kattan was Groundlings. And those are the two places. Well, back then, I think SNL, I only took from those two places pretty much. And now it's a little more varied, but those were the two spots.
So much has changed, I think, in terms of the paths people take to comedy now. I mean, you can do videos and make characters on YouTube and get noticed. But back when you guys were doing it, you truly had to be sort of in these institutions, like Second City or the Groundlings, like places where talent scouts were still going out and finding people. They don't really do that anymore.
Yeah, that was really hard. I mean, both Dratch and I, like we were in a comedy group, so it was like to wait for someone to discover you was like, how is that possible? I mean, I remember in the Groundlings we were like, can we get someone from SNL to come down and see us? And it like took forever. People were like, it's just like not going to happen. But nowadays it's like, you could put, like you just said, you could put a video up on Instagram, you get discovered. Now it's amazing, the difference. So it's a huge difference now.
Chris, you joined, I guess you joined in 96, right? You were sort of second half of the year?
I did, yeah. I joined like 6 episodes before the end of the season.
What was the story behind that in terms of, I know you auditioned a little earlier than that.
I did. I auditioned along with Will Ferrell and Sherry, and Jennifer Coolidge actually auditioned with us too. And we went back to LA, and then Lauren showed up at the Groundlings, and I happened to be out of town that weekend, and Will and Sherry were in the show. And then they got a call to be part of the cast, and I wasn't there that night that Lauren showed up, so I didn't get to be. Anyway, I didn't get to join the cast. I wasn't asked to join. And then later that season, Will called me and said, "Hey, Lauren asked me to call you and said if you wanted to join the cast." And it was like 6 episodes before the end of the season. I was like, "Yeah, sure, I'd love to." And he's like, "Literally, you want to fly out like tomorrow, in 2 days and be on the show, start next week?" So I was like, "Yeah, of course." So yeah, I think it's different. Usually, sometimes they have mid-season replacements, or they have, beginning of the season. But I think it was weird for them to have me come 6 episodes before the end of the season. But that's when I joined. So it's pretty amazing. Yeah, it was really wild.
When I came on, I was the only new person for the season of, so you kind of have to just figure it out at that place. But yeah, then Maya came on at the end of the year. Yeah,
that must have been a difficult transition, right, to be the only new cast member in a season?
I mean, kind of like I knew Tina was there as a writer and Adam McKay. And I knew those two from Second City. So I sort of had I had Tina and I wrote together at the beginning. But yeah, it was definitely like they don't, hand you a brochure like, so you're a cast member. You just sort of like, what do I go here? What, you kind of figure it out. But of course, it was, super exciting time.
It would be cool if they handed you a brochure, though. That would be nice.
The brochure. I know. I should make that brochure. A brochure, like the old days.
Get your brochure right here.
Isolate Night with Scott Rogowski. Live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern.